Millionaire won't even pay your tuition. Why are you getting a tuition? You could just be like Gorilla Jones. You guys could be like Gorilla Jones and just drop out of school even though you're a hard-stuck GM player and try to become a league professional. Speaking of Gorilla Jones, okay, we haven't talked about this. So Gorilla Jones is like, he used to be like a Kled one trick. I don't know what he plays now, but Gorilla Jones is a player that's generally hard-stuck GM. I don't know what rank he is right now. Maybe it says he's challenger top laner. I feel like he's not challenger. Let me see. Gorilla Jones. Like normally I never see him in challenger. Okay, so he hit challenge. So he's one of these people that puts challenger in his title to get viewers. Bro, you're playing this much arena and you're supposed to be try-harding. You played 10 games of arena and you're telling me, oh yeah, I'm going for top 10 challenger this split, plus I'm trying to go pro. Anyways, this guy says, quitting my job, saved up enough to survive till I go pro. See you guys at the top. Then LS responded, worst decision you could ever make for an abundance of reasons. 1. Pro play is dying in that the players are becoming more valuable than the product itself. This means the players hold more power and are more of the draw, as the product itself isn't drawing eyes to the players. 2. Salaries continue to go down globally, with LCK even introducing a salary cap. When you consider that this means depending on your region, LEC or LCS, aka Berlin or California tax, you make very little at the end of it all. 3. You are 2-3 years out from starting from 2026 season, as 2025 is already over. Of ever playing in a tier 1 region, provided you are good enough. You aren't, because you struggle to maintain challenger in one of the easiest periods ever to get it. 4. Viewership continues to go down everywhere, means less ability to convert to social media and other mediums to generate you money. This means all your stock is in pro play itself, which means you'd end up in your late 20s with no real savings, with no skills or anything meaningful. You're already old to have not even started. So what I would say here that's like missing from what Ellis is talking about, like I think that there is value in try-harding for your life, like setting yourself like, okay, so in terms of what builds you as a person, I think things like try-harding for your life, being like, all right, I got 6 months, I'm going to try to make it to be a pro player, I'm going to grind every single day for this goal. Having goals like that, even if you don't end up meeting them and you never become a pro player, I think are so good for elevating how you're able to handle stress as a person, how you're able to improve at things as a person. Like I do think that there's a lot of skills that you actually gain from doing a grind like this. Like for myself, when I decided to try to become a pro player, like that was one of the periods in my life where I grew the most. And I think that this is something that will develop you in ways that are not necessarily like tangible, you know? So I would say that this is kind of missing from Ellis's response. Yeah, just in general, I'm normally on the side of, if you really want to do something, you should try to do it, provided that you are not like back against the wall. So I think all of this depends on what his living situation is. If he's quitting his job and he's saving up for 6 months, but he has a backup plan, he still has parents that could potentially take him in if he wants to, restart his grind, or if he has the ability to go to like college. Like, I don't know how his scholarship situation works in a lot of states. If you have pretty good high school grades, you can get into like a state school with some level of scholarship. For example, in Florida, we had something called Bright Future Scholarship, which is something that I qualified for, even though I didn't even have good grades. And that makes it easier to go to college and, get a degree if you want to do that later on. So I think it all depends on like the factors of his life. Like if he has 6 months where it's not like, oh, if I don't make it, I'm destroyed. Like I'm completely homeless on the street. I have no ability to take care of myself. Like if his life is then this is a bad decision. But if he has the ability to, let's say at the end of the 6 months, go back to whatever job he was at before, he can, get another job and he's able to sustain himself afterwards. I don't think it's that bad of something something to do. And it's something that I did myself, right? Like I took this risk as somebody who was in college. I took the risk of like, I'm going to become a pro player. People will say it was a different time, but I would argue that like at that time, it was like kind of a dream job. A lot of people were still competing to try to become pro players in like season 1, season 2, because it was a new thing where you're able to travel the world, like sign sponsorships. Like it was a huge thing. But the difference between me and Gorilla Jones was that when I decided to do this, I believed that number one, I was already high challenger. I was somebody who was able to hit rank 1 on the ladder. I actually thought at the time I was one of the best junglers in North America. Like when I played solo queue against people like Odd One, who was like, considered one of the best pro players at the time, I would consistently beat him, so like kind of the way it worked was people thought, oh, this IWillDominate guy has good mechanics, but like he's not going to be as good in pro play as some of like the other junglers because like, they were more disciplined. So that was like the main difference, is that like, I think that you can have a job, go to school and maintain high challenger even potentially get rank 1 before you quit. I think you could actually be more like realistic. Like a player like Gorilla Jones, the problem here is that Gorilla Jones is never going to make it because he's just simply not good at the game. Like he is not a good player. I've played with this guy for years. I know exactly how he plays. He is not somebody who even plays the game in a way where I feel like is very conducive to improvement. It seems like he's just somebody who just fights perma and doesn't really consider other factors. And I don't think he has the ability to consider other factors. So in 6 months, I would be very surprised if Gorilla Jones ever ends up in a tier 1 pro scene. Then again, there's players that I thought this of that have made it to tier 1, to be fair. Like Scary Jerry is a player that I thought would never be a pro player, like never be an LCS. I played with him for years. I just didn't think he was that good. I didn't think that he had the qualities of what would make a good pro player. We'll see if he ends up staying as a pro player for like a long period of time or not. But he's a player that I thought would never make it. And sometimes players that you think will never make it actually end up making it. So yeah, I mean, there's other players that it's really obvious they're going to make it. Like for example, Masu. There's a reason when Masu joined, I was like, yeah, this guy's going to be fucking good. I told you guys this at the beginning of 2024. I knew he was like ready to be a pro even the year before that. Before he even started playing Academy, he was like a player that just had the right skill set. You can just see it in someone where you're like, this guy is going to be a fucking good pro player. Like he's just clean mechanically. He's smart about the game, doesn't do retarded shit in the fucking game. Like that is something that I look at where I'm like, okay, this guy has the makings of what would make a good pro player. But yeah, I mean, Gorilla Jones is never going to make it, but I don't know, like even if you're never going to make it, depending on your circumstance, it could be a good idea to do this because a lot of people never try for anything in their lives. Like most people, that's why I really hate when like I have like these fucking losers on Twitter and shit, like just shitting on me for like what I've accomplished in my life. It's like most people don't ever try for something like this in their life and fail because they're too afraid of actually dedicating themselves and realizing that they're not good enough. Like the negative response and the way that affects you as a person is so brutal that most people are unwilling to even put themselves out there. It's like if you don't try, then you can't fail. If you never try, then you can never fail. And then you could feel like, oh, I probably could have went pro in this game. I probably would have been good enough, but I just wanted to do something else. You can just be in this situation. So I'm generally somebody who, like, for example, if I'm a parent and my kid says, hey, I really want to do this, I want to take a gap year, and there's like, I have a plan. I don't want to take a gap year because I need a break. I want to take a gap year because I really want to pursue this. I think that I have a lot of talent. Like, this is my plan. I'm going to work on it every single day. I would be like, this is a good thing for you to do, right? This is a good thing for you to do. Like, that's the type of person that I am. That's how I was raised. That's how, my parents were, for example. Like, my mother, who's a lawyer, before she became a lawyer, she was a professional ballerina. She was in the Chicago Ballet. And she took, even though she had excellent grades, she had free ride to like all the best schools in the country. She ended up going to Yale, but she got into Harvard, she got into Princeton, she got full rides to every single Ivy League school because her grades were just like perfect. Even though that was her situation, she still ended up spending 4 years as a ballerina because that was her passion. And after the 4 years, she just went to college and she pursued everything, and she still was able to get like a law degree, and that experience made it so she said that like school was so easy after that. Like, school was always easy for her, but then like after like being on your own and really grinding for something, like trying to be one of the best ballerinas in the world and like competing in that sphere, when she went to then studying like at Yale, it was like super easy for her to just, get straight A's, go to Yale Law School, whatever. And she was able to progress her life like that. So that's how I was raised. That's why she was willing for me to take the risk on pro play, even though I was in college and, like I was 1 year away from graduating with a degree. It's the same thing for me where it's like, I really want to do this. I have like, I just will put my everything into it. And I think it's also one of those things where you have to be honest with yourself as to why you're actually doing something like this. Are you doing this because you hate your job, or are you doing this because you have the deep desire to be the best pro player in the fucking world? And I think a lot of people are not even honest with what they're saying. It's just they hate their fucking job and they're like, I'm just going to quit my job and go try to be a pro player. But it's not because I really like being a pro player. It's more just because I just cannot stand going to my work every single day. And a lot of people are not honest with themselves when it comes to that reason as well. So these are all things that you have to just manage in your life. But I think that this is the main thing that's missing in this entire situation, is like understanding how much insane amounts of development you can make when you have a goal that you are working for every single day for a period of time, like 6 months or a year. Like, you can make such insane strides that will then allow you to be good at the next thing you do, or be even better at the next thing you do. Like, I know people are kind of like, I've seen this comment a lot with like my career. You know, this is always the thing that people will type on like Reddit and stuff, is like, oh man, like once this pro play thing dies out, this guy's gonna be working at McDonald's. That was always like the comment that I would see. If this after pro play, all these guys are just gonna be working at McDonald's. I actually completely disagree with that. I think that, like, okay, streaming, whatever, I did pro play, I'm doing streaming. I think whatever I do next, the things that I've learned to become somebody who's had a career for like 10 years as a streamer and as a pro player and been competing essentially the whole time in like these fields, I do think that the next thing that I'll do, I'll be even better at than the last couple things I've done, because of everything that I've learned that can't be developed just by going through the standard track of life. So that would be my take on this whole situation. So there we go. That's my advice to people that have something like this to do. You also have to be obviously honest about your living circumstances. Respectfully, I did the math based on my current improvement rate. I'm 6 months out with enough savings to last within that amount of time. With rent plus other factors, Twitter limits my words. If you would like to have a discussion, I am open. Now, wanting to have a discussion, trying to prevent a car crash and a bad outcome X months from now, when where all that ended up happening was bled money. There are players with more social following than yourself, very important in the WWE era of League of Legends, and who are much higher level players who couldn't get in. It's intellectually irresponsible, and you'd have a better luck jamming 7-2 offsuit all in on a poker table at an Indian casino. Yeah, I just think that the thing that's not hit there is everything that I talked about. But yeah, that would be my opinion on these types of situations. Yeah, no, I mean, like, look, the problem is that he's horrible at the game. Like, if he wasn't completely horrible at the game, like, you know, I would be even more on his side. But just in general, I still like, if he really thinks that he can make it as a pro player and he's going to take it as serious as possible and grind every single day and not play 10 games of arena, then we will see where it goes.